DGs and senior managers of the department and our support team from the Parliament. You are all welcome. It's exactly 10 o'clock on my watch. We have the agenda that is tabled before us, and we do have a quorum. I've just double-checked on the list of members, and we really appreciate your full commitment, honorable members, to this committee. You always keep time. We welcome back Honorable Kaza, and we are hoping that you are making a good recovery. We prayed for you as a committee and send our message through Honorable Makesini. We are happy that you are back. Honorable members, there is agenda before us. This agenda deals with the APPs and the strategic plan of the department 2026-2027. We will also deal with the remaining reports, which we agreed that must be deferred for this meeting, both water and COPTA. Then we'll try and also look at the tracking mechanism system, our dashboard. Then we adopt minutes and we adjourn the meeting. We'll try to be more economical with time wherever possible. Without any further ado, we did receive the apology from Minister Buthelezi, Nkosi Buthelezi, who's here in Durban addressing a conference, executing his responsibility, which started yesterday and it's ending today. And we also did receive an apology from the Deputy Minister, Minister Kekan, who's writing exams, and that is highly appreciated, that we continue to develop ourselves. We wish her all the best in her examination. And DG is capable and has got capacity to deal with all matters of the department and his team. And without any further ado, Mr. Manele, are there any further apologies?
Yes, good morning, Chair. Chair, we've got only one apology from Dr. Skilkochel. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. We hope that apology is noted, honorable members. And we are not going to be further dealing with other matters. I think it's a wrong presentation. We'll
Yes.
start with the department. Let's allow DG. Before we allow DG, DG on our side as a committee, we committed when we started this administration that all pieces of legislation that are before us will be processed on time, and we are going to be ascertaining that the processing of such legislations is expedited, because we do not want to delay you in executing your responsibilities. The recent one was the Public Service Commission Amendment Bill, which the NCOP plenary has adopted. So it's now up to the President, if the President will be signing that as a law of the Republic of South Africa. So that also reflects on the professionalization side of things, on the oversight body, that things must be done on time, and as well as ensuring that we play our oversight. We have initiated a process where whenever we conduct oversight visits, we also do not neglect our area of operation in terms of oversight in relation to public service and administration. We started with Gauteng. We met with the Premier there, the acting Premier, and the Public Service Commission. They presented a report, and the Premier had to respond to that report. Then we engaged that report. So in all provinces where we'll be going, we'll ensure that we meet with premiers to assess how government is faring in terms of professionalization, the systems that are being put in motion, to migrate to technology, so that we improve and enhance the manner in which services are rendered to the members of the public.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. We really appreciate the efforts that you are making, Chair, in terms of assisting us to do our work, and we really appreciate the efficiency that we've conducted to process those two bills, which are now assented by the President, who are working on the proclamations that we share with the committees when it's required. Thank you very much once more for our call to come and present to yourselves and the colleagues in terms of our AP strategic plan for the department. From this APP, Honorable Chair, you realize there are a number of programs that were infused that I think the committee may get interest in terms of the oversight. And as and when it's required, you may want to call us in to give an update. We're available for that. On that note, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, I do have my colleagues on the call. Will present the APP and the financials. I'll first allow DDG Linda Dudlam to take us through the APP, and therefore the CFO will do the issue of financial. Thank you very much. DDG Linda, you may proceed.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. I'll just request a few minutes to share the presentation, if you can just bear with me.
No problem, and we've granted you all the rights.
Noted, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll take off my video in a second. I just wanted to prove that I'm not a robot. Okay, let's share. Shamila, if you are on the call, can you kindly assist me by uploading the presentation? I seem to have, it's asking me what I want to share. CFO, can I just check if you can share for me so that I don't waste time? Masilo? Okay, I don't know what's going
on. Zuki, on your side, can you intervene? Just to put the presentation.
If it's possible, Chair, because it's asking me things I've never seen before. It's asking me what I want to share. I'm also trying to check if my colleagues from DPSA like CFO can assist in uploading the presentation for me. Masilo, are you on the call?
Miss France, are you there?
I don't know what's going on.
Yes, Chair. Sorry.
Yeah, let's try and assist. Let's beam the presentation. We've got it.
Yeah, Chair, the sharing options show that only the host can share. So I think that's why I'm struggling.
Have
If
you
maybe-
granted the rights?
Yes, I did, Chair. She's the co-host.
Okay, but let's try and put out the presentation from our side. Are we able to do that?
I'm still looking for it, Chair.
Stefan, are you able to share?
Lady Linda, only yourself and Masilo were given rights.
Sorry, Shamila, what are you saying?
I'm saying only yourself and Masilo were given rights to present.
Let's put it into a presentation mode. Thank you, Zuki. You'll just ask a DTG to move the slides if as you will be presenting. Thank you.
Yes, I will.
Over.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure, ma'am. It looks like it's not on presentation mode because we can still see the slides on the side. But okay. If the chair and committee members can see it, then it's fine. I can proceed. I'm not sure if the size is visible enough for you on. Okay. If I can move to the next slide, Chair, we are basically just focusing the presentation on the request, which is to present our annual performance plan. In the contents slide, we are showing 2026. However, as we present the targets and indicators, we have done them for 3 years because, as the committee would know, that annual performance plans are usually done for 3 years, which is called the MTEF. But when we actually do the detailed plan, we only focus on the first year, with the outer years being the 2 years after the year. So the APP will be presented as a 2026 to 2028 APP when we go to the details of the plan. In the next slide, we just indicating, I think there was something that happened, Chair, when the presentation was submitted, but just to contextualize the 4 quadrants, is that the APP of the department, including our strategic plan, is informed by a number of government's planning document and planning priorities. The first one is the 2024 to 2029 MTDP, where our minister is responsible for implementing priority number 3, which is a capable developmental state. And we are also informed by minister's priorities. So at the beginning of the MTSF, minister shared his priorities that he would like the department to focus on over and above the MTDP priorities. And we then also have the DPSA policy priorities. As the committee would be aware that DPSA is primarily a policy development department. So as part of that policy work, every 5 years, we identify policy priorities. And the quadrant that is empty, my apologies again, will also inform our plans based on the state of the nation priorities, and all of those are anchored in chapter 13 of the National Development Plan. As we move to slide 4, I'll just quickly take the committee through some of the priorities that the minister has indicated to the department. Next slide, ma'am. And those include improving trust in government and government services by, amongst others, dealing decisively with corruption and against those who are abusing the state. Another priority is to continue to improve discipline management within the public service. And the committee will be aware that for the past years, we've been struggling with dealing with the issues of discipline, in particular, conclusion of disciplinary cases within the prescribed timelines, resulting in very long suspensions where public servants draw salaries without being at work. And there has been work, for an example, that the department has done that is beginning to look at different options to suspensions where employees are sitting at home, but to look at how, whilst they are on suspension, they can be also be productive to account for the salaries that they are being paid. We also continue to ensuring that lifestyle audits and the resultant investigations are implemented as prescribed, looking at ways to modernize service delivery through a number of interventions, including IT-based interventions, as well as ensuring that complaints of citizens are handled efficiently. Similar to number 5, is also linked to number 4, where we seek to continue with the modernization agenda of government to citizens, and by in particular implementing innovative solutions. And then the last one, Chair, as the committee will be aware, DPSA is responsible for the collective bargaining processes on behalf of the state. And even though we do conclude collective agreements for a 3-year period or 1-year period, depending on what the agreement with labor is, but currently we have a 3-year agreement, but we continue to negotiate on different conditions of service. Even during that period, in this instance, it will be during the 3-year period that we have for our collective agreement. Then the next slide is just indicating, without me going into detail, when it comes to the MTDP indicators that the minister is leading, and the outcome, as I said, is an ethical, capable, and professional public service. But we do it within the broader agenda of building the capacity of the state. And the key priorities there would be reducing the skills gaps in departments, which would be preceded by conducting skills audits, monitoring the trends in the appointment of director generals, or what is called heads of departments, and looking also at issues of the tenure of accounting officers, of serving accounting officers in national and provincial departments, and the reasons why, for an example, some director generals or accounting officers do not finish their 5-year contracts, and so that we can advise cabinet accordingly on what would be the interventions that will need to be put in place, as this is one of the key issues that is looked at to ensure that there is stability in departments. And then we also will be monitoring the implementation of the personal expenditure review, which is an exercise that was conducted, presented to Cabinet in 2022 with recommendations on what government can do to improve matters of remuneration, amongst others, for public servants. And there's been departments that have been tasked with implementing some of those recommendations, leading up to the development of a remuneration policy for the public service. We also continue to implement productivity measurements. For this period, the MTDP has identified 16 departments where the intention is to ensure that by the end of the MTDP period, they would have improved their productivity and achieving at least 80% of the productivity measure indicators. And then the last one that we are all aware of is the implementation and monitoring of the professionalization framework for the public service. And the last one is the one that the minister is supporting, so we are not directly implementing this, and that is supporting the Public Service Commission on their work of institutionalizing the constitutional values and principles. In the next slide, Chair, I will just quickly touch on the AG processes. As we are aware that APPs are audited through the auditing of the annual report. So what we try and ensure in the department is that we submit our APP to the AG prior to tabling in cabinet, so that they can assist in identifying findings that we can correct to avoid future findings on our APP. And we can give the committee assurance that all the findings that were raised by the AG in that regard were addressed, and we subsequently tabled the APP to Parliament as required at the end of March. Next slide, ma'am. We also did a few revisions, Chair, to our strategic plan that we had initially tabled to Parliament in 2025. And in the next slide, we just showing at a very high level what some of those were. So we had targets that were included as new targets, and targets that we removed, and we are providing reasons thereof. And without going into detail into those, because they will be part of the APP targets that I will speak to, I will just maybe ask that we just go to the next slide. And as I said, there has been one target that has been removed, and because this will not appear in the APP later on, I can just quickly go through the reasons. It was a target on monitoring the implementation of the public service remuneration policy. And as I have indicated that there is recommendations that were made in the PER study, and the departments that were identified to implement those are indicated below. They include your Department of Health, Correctional Services, and Public Works. And the department therefore felt that it would be prudent for us to wait for the implementation of those recommendations, as we anticipate that there will be issues that will emerge from the implementation that will require us to first engage at the PSCBC, and that these issues that will come up from the implementation are anticipated to also impact on the remuneration policy. So in essence, the remuneration policy will only be dealt with after the implementation of these recommendations. In the next slide, we are just indicating that our APP has got both, as I've said, the MTDP targets, the DPSA targets, and all the ministers' priorities have also been then infused into the DPSA targets. And the targets, starting from the next slide, include Program 1, which we call administration. And these are mainly your compliance-related matters, Chair, and honorable members, and it includes the work that is done through the Office of the CFO on ensuring that we monitor and address cases of fruitless, wasteful, and irregular expenditure, that we assess our status of compliance with the BBBEE prescripts, that we monitor the implementation of interventions for women, the empowerment of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. The first two targets are related to the work and prescripts of National Treasury, and then the target on women, youth, and persons with disabilities is related to our compliance to the Department of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities. In the next slide, we continue with the targets for Program 1, Administration. And the target on the monitoring the implementation of our affirmative action measures, we have approved affirmative action measures in the department, which give a positive bias for the appointment of women into senior positions. And as the committee will notice that whilst the target for government is 50%, we have increased the target in the department to 60%. So it is to ensure that we still comply with the 50%, but we raise the bar for the department so that we can achieve more than the 60%. And in summary, the affirmative action measure says that if we have two candidates that have been interviewed and the first candidate is a male and the second candidate is a woman, if the score difference between the male, who would be number one in this case, and the female, who would be number two, is 5 or less, then we recommend to the panel that does the interview should recommend to the approval authority, whether it be the DG or the minister, that the second candidate, being a woman, should be the one that is appointed. So we've extended those measures to the appointment of persons with disabilities. And for young, for the youth, we are looking at different interventions that we can implement, including the review of our organizational structure and creation of what we call technical posts, where we can be able to appoint young people that are coming straight from institutions of learning and do not necessarily require either extensive experience or no experience at all. But they will be able to come in and actually do the work that they studied for, rather than coming into lower level posts like your cleaners, security officials, etc. On the next slide, we go to the second program, which is called the Human Resource Management and Development. And this program, up until the last program, Chair and honorable members, that is the work that is facing outside in the public service. So these are the programs that work with national departments, and they work with provincial departments. And for provincial departments, we work mainly with offices of the Premier, and we work in all the 9 provinces of the country. So as I hinted on this earlier, that the work in this program will be focusing on the appointments of monitoring the appointments of director generals to ensure that they meet the legislative qualifications and experience, monitoring the trends in the tenure, how long do accounting officers stay in their jobs within the 5-year contract period, as well as monitoring the implementation of the professionalization framework, and how we then assist departments to implement the framework incrementally is that we issue directives. And in 2024, there was a volume 1 directive that was issued. And I think this year the volume 2 has been issued as well. So that is the work that falls within the program that deals with human resource management for the public service. In the next slide, we continue with the work under this program. And as I've indicated, we will be assisting departments to conduct their skills audits with the intention that by the end of the MTDP period, they would have reduced the skills gaps that will be identified through the skills audit by at least 20%. and that to further support the departments, the branch has put together what they call task teams, because conducting a skills audit is a very complicated and timely exercise. So there was a need identified that to ensure that departments are empowered and given the right capacity, there was a need to form those task teams that will then assist both the national and provincial departments. We also are required to, through the Office of Standards and Compliance, to do a number of activities or interventions to look at the norms and standards that the minister is issuing. And some of the interventions that have been planned by this year, for this year, is to do a root cause analysis on non-compliance with the requirements for conditionally granted incapacity leave. And that would be part of the norms and standards that are issued by the minister, as well as doing an evaluation report on the appropriateness of the norms and standards with respect to appointments in the private offices of ministers and deputy ministers and MECs. And in the first year, the office will be evaluating the appropriateness of these norms and standards. And then in the outer years, they will be identifying other norms and standards that they will do both the monitoring and compliance of, as well as the evaluating their appropriateness. The next slide deals with Program 3, which is responsible for negotiations, labor relations, and remuneration in the public service. As I've said, this branch is responsible for collective bargaining in the public service. And another new project that will be done in this 3-year period will be to do research on the capacity of the state. In this case, in particular, looking at the state's organizational capacity in relation to service delivery. It should be from 1994 to 2024. And this is work that has been requested by the Governance, State Capacity and Institutional Development Cluster, where the department falls under, and it is work that we also intend to take to Cabinet for approval with the recommendations, so that the outer years can look at the implementation of those recommendations. We also, under this branch, as I've indicated earlier, will continue to monitor the implementation of the the personal expenditure review by the departments mentioned here, with the intention that when this process is done, we will then be negotiating and finalizing the remuneration policy for the public service. In the next slide, we have, we continue with this program, and this is work that falls under the Technical Assistance Unit that is responsible for issues of ethics, discipline, and discipline management in the public service. This unit falls under this branch for budget purposes. Similarly, the Office of Standards and Compliance falls under branch Human Resource and Management for budget purposes. So under the work related to ethics, discipline in the public service, we had introduced what we call a central register for verification of disciplinary processes against public servants. Mainly, this came from realizing that some public servants, when they've either been disciplined, dismissed, or they are currently undergoing disciplinary processes, they would resign and go and reappear somewhere else. So the register is to ensure that as part of the verifications that are done for recruitment, that the register becomes an additional tool that the public service can use. For now, the register is implemented by national and provincial departments, but the intention is to, through the relevant prescripts, to extend it to the third sphere of government. We also then continue assisting departments with reducing their case backlogs related to disciplinary cases, and we also monitor the compliance with the conducting of lifestyle audits, which include a process called lifestyle reviews, as well as lifestyle investigations for the designated groups in the public service. And as the committee would remember, that there is, over and above senior managers, there is other groups in the public service. For an example, officials working in supply chain who are not necessarily SMS members because of the nature of work that they do and the propensity for corruption or undertaking activities that might result in corruption. In the next slide, we focus on the program that is responsible for ICT within the public service. And they have two targets for this year. The one is to develop the revised government-wide enterprise architecture, which is part of the work that we're doing around the digitization of public services. And this work is also aligned to the work that is happening in the presidency on the roadmap for digital transformation for the public service. Cybersecurity over the past years has become a serious problem in government, threatening access to government information. And part of the work that has been prioritized for purposes of the APP is to look at developing a cybersecurity awareness strategy. And in the outer year, a circular will then be issued for departments to start to implement. And with both targets in the year 2028, the program will be monitoring the implementation of the framework as well as the strategy. In the next, Chair, as I move towards closure, this is the last program, which is called Government. This is responsible for service delivery improvement initiatives in the public service. And as I've indicated, the first target will be dealing with the productivity measurements in the 16 departments that have been identified. We will monitor the implementation of the 2022 Cabinet approved Batubili revitalization strategy, monitoring the implementation of the complaints and compliments management framework, which also forms part of Minister's priorities, as well as assessing the status of the implementation of the African Peer Review National Action Plan. And that will be done for the 3-year period. We can move to the next slide, ma'am. But in essence, Chair, this concludes my part of the presentation on the APP. I will then hand over to the CFO to take us through the budget allocations. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Good morning, Honorable Chair of the Select Committee, and let me also greet the honorable members of the Select Committee on the platform, as well as colleagues on the platform. Chair, I hope you can see that it's me, it's not AI. I'll take the honorable members through the allocation. I'm just going to give high-level highlights per program, and the last slide I will then deal with the total budget of the department, which would actually be summarizing all the 5 programs. In terms of program 1, which is the administration, it's a program that actually it's not an implementing program for projects of the department. It's a support program for program 2 to program 5. This is administration, and we indicating the sub programs or the units that fall under the program 1, the study with ministry up to office of accommodation for 2026-27, which is the PAPP that we are currently presenting. The budget for program 1 is 306 million. And as I indicated, it includes all those components. When we look at the economic classification on the lower part of the presentation of the table, composition of employees for 2026 is 136 million, which converts to about 46% of the allocated budget for this program. The goods and services budget is 155 million. And the main cost drivers for that, as I indicate on my narratives, the computer services, which amounts to about 33 million per annum. And we have about 6.2 million, which is for IT equipment. Our capital budget is just about 1% of the entire budget, because our capital expenditure is only IT related and photocopy machines, and where necessary, ministerial vehicles if they are due for replacement. Other cost drivers includes audit costs, which I've indicated per annum for AG, which is 7.3 million, as well as then we indicate the other cost driver in program 1 would be travel cost. For the first year, it's about 15.8 million, which includes even ministry as well. So that's the main highlights on this program. When we go to the next slide, which is the second program, human resource management, for the work that has been presented earlier on in the earlier slides, the branch has been allocated an amount of 54 million in the first year, and we just indicating the outer years just for noting for honorable members. When we go to economic classification, distribution, composition of employees, it amounts to 47 million of this branch, which is equivalent to about 86% of the total budget. Goods and services budget is 7.2 million. The main cost driver is 3.1 million, which is budgeted for the development of any warning system under the Office of Standards and Compliance, and travel costs are provided at about 1.3 million for the first year. If we go to the next slide, negotiations, labor relations, and remuneration. This program also includes the TAU unit. If you look at the sub-program, the last unit, which is TAU, Public Administration, Ethics, Integrity, and Disciplinary Technical Assistant Unit, which has been budgeted an amount of 27 million for the first year. But total budget for this branch is 90,793,000. The distribution of that in terms of the line items, economic classification, composition of employees amounts to 66,461,000, which is equivalent to 73% of the budget for this branch. 23 million is allocated for goods and services, mainly the e-disclosure system that the government officials utilize or access for the disclosure of financial interest. There's a budget of 7.9 million that has been budgeted for that. The other cost drivers would also be travel costs to the amount of 3.8 for this branch, 3.8 million for this branch in the first year. The next branch, and the next slide, which is e-government services and information management, dealing with IT in the public service. This branch has been allocated an amount of 28 million. In terms of the line items, economic classification, composition of employees amounts to 25,236,000, which is equivalent to 88% of the allocated budget for this branch. 3.2 million is allocated under goods and services, the major cost drivers, it's 615,000, which is the development of guidelines identified in the compliance report and external resources to assist in upskilling government departmental information security officers to improve information security governance. The other part of the budget for goods and services is travel costs, which is in the first year 974,000. We go to the fourth branch, which is the last branch, which is government services access and improvement. This branch has been allocated an amount of 115,424,000. Included in that, if you look under sub-program, the last unit is Center for Public Service Innovation. This is a government component which we transfer. We process transfer payments on a monthly basis to the CPSI. So the amount is 53 million. For budget purpose, it's included under this program. When we go to the line items, 45,808,000 has been allocated for compensation of employees, which is about 73% of the budget. 12 million is under goods and services, and some of the and we have also transfers and subsidies to the amount of 56 million. This basically includes some of the African organizations that we have partnership with, your open government partnership, and also the APAM, where we transfer funds because we are members of those organizations. The allocated budget for travel costs amounts to 3.7 million in the first year for this branch. We go to the next slide, which we just indicating in terms of the distribution. As I indicated, program 1 takes 52% of the budget because of some of the services that are actually budgeted under program 1, IT, corporate services, audit costs, and all those that I've mentioned. They are not actually being charged against any of the programs, but they are only charged against program 1. So that's the big chunk of the budget, and it's followed by government services access and improvement at 19%. If you go back to the slide, and the other programs, 15% goes to negotiation, labor relations, and remuneration management, and the last budget, 5% goes to e-government services and information management. If we look to on the last slide, the next slide, this is then where we combine all the programs and indicate the total budget for the entire department. For DPSA for 26-27, the budget, including CPSI, as I indicated in program 5, it's 596,722,000. That's the total budget for the entire department, and it's distributed in terms of those line items. Compensation of employees, 321,974,000, which amounts to 54% of the budget. And the reason for that is that the DPSA is a labor-intensive department. We are a policy department, so we rely on our employees to do the work, to go to the provinces, to do training. We don't outsource our work to consultants. So we do our own trainings. We run our own labor forums, labor relations forums, Yoba Tupili forums. We do that on our own. So there will also be a lot of traveling, as well as booking for venue center and accommodation in provinces. So that's what we do. So that's why the budget for compensation of employees takes the biggest chunk, because we don't outsource our work and we deal with policy. Goods and services goes amount that has been allocated is 202,262,000 in the first year, 26-27, and that amounts to 34% of the budget, and that will include obviously travel and subsistence and other costs relating to our work that we do in the provinces. 11% of the budget goes to transfers and subsidies, which is 64 million. The biggest chunk of that would be the transfers and subsidies to CPSI from Program 5. And the last item, as I indicated earlier on, is capital budget, which is payment of capital assets. The amount is 7.9 million, which is basically for IT-related equipment, laptops, as well as for photocopy machines. That takes 1% of the entire budget for the department. Honorable Chair and honorable members, that brings me to the last slide of my presentation. I therefore rest my case. Thank you.
DJ.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. That's our presentation. Chair may guide in terms of taking questions. In terms of the next presentation, we don't have a presentation on the next agenda item, Honorable Chair and members. It's work in progress. We may want to come back. We are still working close with the Free State government. But I do have my DDG here, DDG Hlope, who can give an update if so required. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, DG. DDG can come in with the Free State contracts termination update.
DDG Hlope, are you coming through?
My sincere apologies, Chair. Good morning to Chair and the honorable members of the committee, DG, and the colleagues on the platform. Chair.
Before you proceed, I think at some stage the Chair made the ruling that if you take a platform for the first time, you can beam your camera. We're in the AI environment, so I'd appreciate that with that, DDG. Thank you very much.
I'll have to apologize. I'm using a very old laptop. It's not. It needs to be fixed. My sincere apologies for that, but I can confirm I'm human. I'm not a robot. Chair,
Okay, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Now, the only update that we don't have a presentation for this item. What we did when we got the request from the committee, we engaged the Free State government, the office of the Provincial DG, through our own office, the office of our own DG, and we requested substantive information to deal with this matter. But by yesterday, we had not received the required information that could have enabled us to make a substantive presentation. So we keep engaging the colleagues, and then upon the receipt of the relevant information, we will present to the committee the information in writing. And if it is required that subsequently we make a presentation, we will do so. But we are still awaiting the office of the Provincial DG of the Free State to provide the required information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DDG Hlope. Honorable members, it's now your turn to engage the reports. Of course, we are going to defer the Free State update to the next meeting of this committee, where DG will bring the team and to present the update on the subject matter. Let me take hands. Honorable Teza, you'll be the first one, followed by Honorable Badenhorst, Honorable Makesini, Honorable Peter, Honorable Nzimande. In that order, let's start with you, Honorable Teza.
Thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to my colleagues, yourself, and the department. the DPSA. I first must, I'm compelled to thank you very much for the prayers and the best wishes as I was going through what I was going through. I'm back, and thank you very much, comrades and honorable members. That includes Honorable Badnost for the other committee. Honorable Chair, I just wanted to begin with the issue of financials, because financials always elude me, Chair. So I'm in a process of probing a fact-finding mission on that. I just wanted to ask a question on compensation of employees breakdown. Whether the department can provide a detailed breakdown of the 54% allocated to compensations of employees in the 2026-2027 financial year, specifying the number of post-funded vacancies carried and the methodology used to project the increases to 346,999,000 by 2028-2029. And then on goods and services outputs, I just wanted to ask what measurable outputs then and service delivery activities are funded by 34% allocation to goods and services in 2026-2027, and how are these outputs tracked across the 3 MTEF to ensure value for money, Chair. And then on e-government utilization, whether they can just give us and provide utilization statistics for the 5% allocation to e-government services, information management, including the number of departments actively using that digital platform, those digital platforms, and cost savings achieved. And last one, I just wanted to check, Chair, whether they can provide the list of leases, rental agreements, and municipal services costs that explain the 8.2 million increase in office accommodation allocation with contract values and expiry dates. And then I wanted to, I'm compelled to chip in the last question that what is their monitoring mechanism in terms of the transfer of skills in provinces and municipalities from the consultants into the internal auditing teams to save money, and what amounts, if there are monies that were saved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Gaza. Honorable Badenhorst.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to the colleagues, and it's good to see Honorable Gaza back with us. Chair, in the absence of the Minister, I'd like to ask the DG, if you look at the presentation, the lifestyle audits and action against corruption is a key priority. But the APP target is merely to monitor compliance by departments. So I don't see any targets for investigations completed, for disciplinary action taken, for dismissals, for criminal referrals, or for recovery of state funds. So I think what I'm trying to get to is that South Africans are tired of governing
of government measuring compliance while corruption continues unchecked. You can open your newspaper every single day and there's corruption all around us. So the APP commits only to monitoring whether the departments conduct lifestyle audits. But there's no, I don't see any mechanism where corrupt officials are actually identified, disciplined, dismissed, prosecuted, or whether stolen money is actually going to be recovered. So my question would be to the DG then, and I'm sorry to have to ask this question because I know we don't like to answer on particulars, but how many officials do you actually expect to face actual consequences in 2026-27 as a result of lifestyle audits? And if you can't provide that figure right now, I mean, how do us as Parliament then measure success beyond just another compliance report? So that'll be my one question. And the other question would be, the APP targets only 80% compliance for DG and HOD appointments, meeting legislative qualifications and experience requirements. So my question would be, why is the target not 100% immediately? Why only 80%? So is the department effectively conceding that government will continue to appoint unqualified senior officials? And how does that align with the stated objective of building a capable and professional state? And then you correctly identified prolonged disciplinary cases and officials sitting at home on full pay as a burden on taxpayers. But again, the APP contains no target for reducing the number of suspended officials or shortening case durations or recovering costs from officials found guilty. So my question would be, how much is the public service currently spending on precautionary suspensions? And by what percentage do you expect that cost to decline during this medium-term expenditure framework period? And my last question would be, Chair, looking across the APP again, there's dozens of targets that start with the words monitor, assess, analyze, evaluate, and report. So can the department identify a single measurable service delivery outcome that an ordinary South African will experience differently in 2026-27 because of the DPSA's work, rather than simply just having another report that's being produced? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bellenost. DG and the team, can we get responses for questions of the two honorable members? Then we'll take the other set of questions after that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I've got a team of colleagues here who will assist. Let me at high level start with Honorable Badenhorst. I think he asked 4 questions. The very first question, Honorable Chair, is the lifestyle audit and the action against corruption as the key target for the country. And what are the referrals for recovery? And how many officials were to face the consequence in this financial year? That's a very relevant question. It's a very good question.
Yeah, 100%.
Honorable Chair, and what is the investigation method we're using? The DPSA, I think, on the very first slides, when the DDG was presenting, she made it clear that the role of the DPSA is a policy-making department for the public service and public administration to thrive, to do their work. Our role is to create a conducive environment. Now, we do assist Honorable Bellenhorst. What we do is to issue guidelines on how lifestyle audit must be conducted by 2 spheres of government. It's only now that this committee have processed through what we call it a public administration management bill, which that law, after being signed off into law by the president, when it takes effect, the DPSA will now have a role to play in the other sphere. which is local government. Now, our guidelines will assist. We do assist department on burden host in terms of the lifestyle audit. What we are doing right now, we're entering an MOU with the SIU. We're on the verge of having that kind of compact. We've made a commitment that we'll work closely with the SIU. And during the SONA, the president also announced that SSA must also play a role. So 3 of us, SSA, SIU, DPSA, will have to play a role. We are now amending our guidelines to take into account SIU and SSA attributes of investigations. So we do assist. There are a number of things. You may call us to give you a report for the previous years and the recovery. Portfolio committee called us jointly with SIU. We went to present. And tomorrow we're appearing portfolio committee with other 5 provinces on one particular agenda, lifestyle audit in that regard. So there's a lot, Honorable President, that we've done in that regard. The second question, why 80%, not 100%? If you watch in terms of our presentation, this 80% is an MGDP target. It comes from presidency. Is the MGDP target that is given by DPMA to the government-wide. It does not mean that as DPSA cannot go beyond 80%. No. The problem is you cannot alter target given by the presidents. Currently, the merger and the yardstick is 80%, but our role, we go beyond that. And we're looking at the number of issues that can assist us, whether it's an issue of competencies, it's skills, it's qualifications, it's all these other attributes that form part of the meritocracy and competency-based recruitment. One of the slides, Chair, DDG present that we also monitor the issue of the turnover of the DGs and HODs in the public service, which will assist us, burden host, in terms of whether 80% we can push to 100%. But as a department, our target is to go beyond 80%. The third question is on the issue of no target on reaching suspension, procuring suspension of officials who are found in the wrong side of the law. We do have a target in the APP, Honorable Member, that deals with the issue of discipline management. It's a broader context in terms of suspensions, management of it, the processes, the turnaround time, the time frame required. So there are a number of steps involved. So our role as the custodian of the discipline management, we do assist department when they go through the process of initiation for the and monitor in that regard, because that's responsibility. The last question is, can the DPSA identify a single measurable output? Honorable Chair, if you look at all our targets are measurable. All our targets are measurable. Though we are not delivering service to the last person in terms of the service delivery value chain, but we are in the front phase because of the policy matters. In the absence of all those instruments that are presented here today, there was service delivery in terms of other public service departments. So our role, Honorable Member, is to ensure that we monitor what we have committed as part of the targets. We also do evaluation for the impact, and we do the issue of interventions. When the CFO was presenting, he said most of our cost drivers now is because we don't outsource our work. We are a labor-intensive department that go out there and sit hard on department assist in terms of the capacity, building capacity, issue of technical assistance for them to do their work properly. Honorable Keza raised 6 questions, which some of them I will allow my colleagues to assist. On the breakdown of the COE, where the department can provide detailed breakdown for post-funded, I think DDG Linda will have to assist in that regard. And the methodology to project the increases, I think that one, DDG Linda will assist as in charge of Program 1. What measurable output for goods and services and how this output tie into the MTS of value chain. I'm not clear. Perhaps the CFO can assist in that regard. Utilization of statistics for 5% usage digital platform of cost saving achieved. DDG Manda will assist. A list of rental service municipal services. Unfortunately, honorable member, on this one we don't have a role to play, as I've indicated. This sit with DCOC. Currently, DPSA, it confines itself within the two spheres of government. It's only now that when we do proclamation, we'll have to venture into the local government sphere. And therefore, the last one, what is the monitoring mechanism and the sort of transfer of skills to provinces? I'll allow DDG and Musha to assist. Thank you very much. DDG, Duda, you may start on the very first one. DDG Linda, are you coming through?
Yes, thanks, Chair.
Okay.
So I will ask, of course, the CFO to answer on the actual figures, but the breakdown that I can give is that we're currently on the approved establishment, which is the approved structure. We've got 422 posts, and of those, 314 are filled, and the rest of those posts are therefore vacant. So the compensation figure that the CFO was showing us was actually for both the filled posts and the vacancies. And it is important to also indicate that even though we do have vacancies, we need to continue prioritizing, because the allocations that we have received from Treasury for the MTF period do not cover the entire, we can't fill all the posts that we have in the department. So we continue to do prioritization, but for purposes of just giving the stats, is that these are the numbers that we have with respect to our structure, number of posts, filled posts, and the vacancies that we have. And that compensation budget, as I said, goes towards paying the staff that we have, so what we call warm bodies, but also paying for part of the vacancies that we have in the department. Thank you, Chair. I request the CFO to provide further information if I have missed anything.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you, DG. Thank you, Linda. I think, I think those are the details that were required in terms of the breakdown of the 54% in terms of the number of posts versus the posts that are still vacant. But I think maybe just to touch a bit on the methodology. The methodology of coming up with a budget for compensation of employees, obviously, is to you look at your entire structure in terms of the number of employees that we have, and you cost it against each and every level of that. So what happens is that with compensation of employees, you must cost it per head. So if you know that in program 1, I've got 200 officials, then you then look at that, and then you look at the senior managers in terms of their level of payment, middle management and lower management in terms of level 5, 6, and 7. So that's how we cost that, and that is basically presented to National Treasury. As DDG Linda indicated, our structure is not fully funded because of previous budget cuts, and not only for DPSA, but also for the entire public service in terms of our fiscal challenges in the country. So we always try and reprioritize the current figures that she has indicated in terms of the vacant posts that are funded. Some of them, basically, we just have to prioritize and make sure that we have priority posts from the vacancies that we have, so that we are aligned to to the budget that we have, but we were currently in conversation with National Treasury in terms of that. I think the next question in terms of the service delivery outputs that are funded by this budget, I think Team DG, you have partly answered that, because what I've indicated is that the targets that we have presented and the fact and what I've indicated, that our work is to actually go to the provinces and build capacity. That in terms, if the provincial government are able to work properly, then that will convert to them being able to deliver services to our people in the provinces and in the municipalities. If they are able to implement properly the professionalization framework and prioritize issues amongst others, but to build principles, though that would basically convert into direct service outputs, service delivery to and proper service delivery to our people. So I think we have partly dealt with that. The last one, maybe that I just want to highlight, and DG, you have touched on that, the issues of leases of municipalities. As you rightly said, DG, that it's the mandate of COCTA. What I just want to indicate to and assist Honorable Keza is that the amount of 71 million that you see in under Program 1 for office accommodation, that is not for any entities, it's not for municipalities, it's for the current building that we are occupying at Batupili in Pretoria. So that is an annual budget which we pay to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure on a quarterly basis. So that's only exclusive for that, and it does not include any other entity or any municipalities. I think that I've dealt with the questions that the DJs allocated. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. The last one, DDG Anusha, the issue of skills. Let me get that question. What is the monetary mechanism in terms of transferring skills to provinces, municipalities to save money? DDG Anusha.
Thank you very much, DG. I hope I'm audible. I'm showing my picture and I'm going to switch off the camera. We do not want distractions due to my picture. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the Director General, and my dear colleagues, good morning. On the skills audit in the question, let me put it into perspective and to context. The DPSA creates the mechanics for the national and provincial departments only. The Department of Cooperative Governance is responsible for the local government, and the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation is responsible for more than 700 of our public entities. However, there are laws in place. Example, the Public Administration Management Act that requires a single public service. But in the practical sense, we are not yet fully aligned, but we are hastening to move towards that. The skills audit, as we know, whether in the public sector, the private sector, or anywhere in the world for that matter, is a rather complex process. It's based on your business modeling, your service delivery models, and your operational models. The DPSA, as I said, set the mechanics. So we have what we call the skills audit methodology framework. Honorable Chair, when we undertake a skills audit process, it is fundamental that we make sure that the methodology that we use is consistent throughout the public sector and not just the public service. By doing that, then we can link different competency profiles from a national, provincial, and local level. The first step that the DPSA has undertaken in this regard was to create the skills audit methodology. The second step was to train about 158 or all national and provincial departments. We do this so that we can cut out the consultant work or work that is done outside a department or additional cost to a department. And by training officials, we then capacitate them to do their own skills audit. After that, we created task teams where groups of individuals can get together and then undertake the skills audits. Western Cape and the KZN governments are at an advanced stage, implying that they are almost towards conclusion, whereas other provinces are at varying stages. We are also, as the DPSA, exploring an automated system that could be used, that could accelerate skills audit, that could have a database of skills audits, that could help us with reporting and dashboard management at any given time, or put it this way, a live system. To do that, though, we would need to procure a system or to create a system. But either way, we must have, Honorable Chairperson, competency mapping. And because the roles within the public sector is varied as compared to the private sector, individuals will have to map out those competencies. In closing then, we are working very closely with the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, who have an automated system. So we're looking at ways and means in which we could borrow that system and then customize it, so that we do not have to duplicate or replicate unnecessarily, but use an existing system to define our own national and provincial occupations or jobs, or put simply, our own dictionaries. That would also help us then to map out a national, provincial, and local government level. I thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members.
Thank you. Honorable Makesini, I am no longer seeing your hand. Does that imply that you are now covered?
I'm here, Chair. I'm here, Chair. I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, please don't remove your hand before you speak.
I totally
Over to you,
noted.
Honorable Makesini.
Thank
Sure.
you, Chair. Greeting to the department. Also welcome the presentation. Chair, my worry is the issue of the progress of the lifestyle audit of the officials of the department. If we can get maybe the finalization, I know they are busy with the guidelines, but to date they must give us whether they started, because we have seen other provinces like Northern Cape, when the government intend to do the lifestyle auditors, there's resistance of people that don't want to be get to the process of the lifestyle audit. The another issue to Chair is the issue of the supply senior managers, especially in the position of the women. They are sitting at 60%. Their plan is to get that on 20 and up until 2027. Which percentage are they standing to date on the issue of the senior managers, especially for the women, while they are waiting? I know the target is 60%. If they can give us the percentage to date, whether they are progressing or not. The last issue, Chair, is the issue of the report of Free State that we have been requested from last year. To date, there's no report. I don't think we must just accept the Free State province is not complying to submit our report. We need our report within 7 days so that we can see what is these people that are hiding, because they committed that they will present that report. Until today, from last year to you can't go another year pass without that report. I'm requesting as a committee, through the department, we must submit that report. They must write to the Department of Free State. That report must be submitted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makesini. We'll consider that and in our way forward. Let me then request Honorable Peter to come in.
Thank you, Chair. Good day, Chair, and the panel of the department. Chair, I'm so impressed about this monitoring processing, if it's ongoing programs for the departments, because most of the failures of the departments depends to the monitoring. They do the good work, but they don't monitor it. So I'm so impressed about this monitoring. My first question, Chair, I just want to get for clarity, Chair. Does the lifestyle audit exist Or if so, when it was implemented? And what consequence did it produce? Or is it a verse in the Bible that has to be preached timelessly? I'm just so worried about that lifestyle audit. My second question, Chair, is the department failures not encouraged by the long-term plan rather than the short-term planning? The budget cuts are not one of the factors that contributes to the department's failures. Why is it so difficult for the department to outsource its work? My last question, Chair. Does ministers are not captured by the department due to experience through long service the department officials had? Why I'm asking this question, Chair, most of these gatherings or these meetings, always there's an excuse of the ministers that they are busy somewhere elsewhere. That's my submission. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Peter. Let's take Honorable Zimande, then we'll hand over to the department for responses.
No, thanks for the presentation. My questions will just be concerned about whether the plan before us is gonna assist for continuous improvement in terms of performance. So it will be located within that parameter. The first question relates to whether the plan in its entirety, if you look at it in its entirety, is it informed by performance information or is just informed by budget constraints? The second question relates to, which is linked to the first one, the issue of the department, based on what the National Treasurer wants them to do in terms of cost containment, the issue of freezing of posts,
We lost you, Honorable Zimande. Honorable Zimande, are you still there?
early retirement.
We lost you for more than a minute, Honorable Zimande. If you can recap on what was your last statement. Honorable Zimande?
Do you hear me?
Now we can hear you, but we lost you for a minute.
Okay. The last two questions, whether the plans do cater for improvement on coordination and effectiveness of PSC. The last question is whether the APP whether it is anticipating to change the current situation where the budget or the plan informs the negotiation cycle of PSCPC. Are they anticipating to change that situation where the negotiations should inform and inflation should inform what ought to be catered by the plan, so that we, in anticipation, avoid unnecessary labor unrest or instability? Thank you.
Thank you. I hope DG and the team have captured those questions. Let me hand over to you for response.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yes, we captured issues raised by honorable members here. I think let me start by Honorable Makesini. The progress of lifestyle audit officers in the department, have they done it? Resistant by other provinces, mentioning Northern Cape. That's the very first one. I do have a colleague here. I would want to give him a space to share something. If there is one program, Honorable Chair, that we're doing very well, it's this program. That's the reason why you see what you see out there in terms of your commissions, the revelations, the data, is because of our tools. In the absence of those tools, I don't think today the country will see what was watching. It's our tools. So I know that we as a nation, we want to see more. And indeed, as I've indicated, tomorrow, there are 5 provinces called for this particular issue. And we'll go there and give our support. As a department, lifestyle audit is in 3 phases. You first declare, we don't call it disclosure. All SMS in the department have declared. I've just signed off the final report on Friday, the PSC, last week Friday, all of them. In that declaration, Honorable Makasini, if there is a red flag, you move to the second stage of audit. And therefore, still find some matters which are not comforting. You go to the next stage, which is investigation. So these are the process outlined. And therefore, honorable members, if you've listened to Sona, the president said all police must go through lifestyle audits as one of the departments. There are 5 high-risk departments which are in our radar currently. And there are those which are low risk. In those low risks, we also deal with the issue of all supply chain employees. So we are clear. The map is very clear, as I've indicated. So this program is yielding results currently in the country because we can see what is going on. So all of us, Honorable Makasini, we've done that as a department. And the government, there are only 1 or 2 departments which requested for extension. I think defense, I've forgotten the next one, but I'll give Dr. Solomon at the end to make some reflection. SMS women, what is the strategy and the percentage? DDG, she presented, but she'll also take Honorable Makesini's question in that regard. I agree with Honorable Member, Honorable Chair, on the issue of Free State. I think you may want to call both of us to appear before the committee because this matter is quite important. So we're still going to make some follow-ups. I'll make another letter to the DG Free State by this week if possible, but we are indulging the committee. You may want to call both of us to come and appear to address this important matter. I will allow Dr. Solomon to deal with that issue. Honorable Peter, thank you very much for appreciating the tool. I think we are quite correct, Honorable Peter. If you look at the AG reports, year in, year out, one thing that AG keep lamenting is the issue of monitoring. In all the reports that government failed to monitor. So DDG Anusha gave an extensive report in terms of how we're going to monitor as part of our work. You've also added the issue of lifestyle audit, whether that exists. It's a verse in the Bible. I think I've given the report. CFO will again come back and deal with the issue of the department, whether it's a budget cards, why can't we outsource? I think it's covered by the leader presentation, but I'll allow the CFO to deal with the issue. The last question from Honorable Peter, I think, is above our pay grade. The minister's captured not appearing here. I will not respond to that, Honorable Chair. I think I'm still an employee of the department. So, Honorable Nzimande, plan before us will assist continuous improvement, yes. This plan which is before you, Honorable Nzimande, if you look at the very first slide, it demonstrates where does this way come from. One is a MDTP commitment, Seventh Administration commitment that we cannot ignore. 2 is the SONA commitment. 3 are policy priorities by the minister after he has done the assessment of the public service. And then lastly, all those things hangs into one blueprint, the NDP. So we are quite certain that this plan will succeed. Freezing of posts, DDG Linda, I think can assist there. Unfortunately, we don't have a project that assists PSC as a department. Our role is to assist the entire public service, which PAC as Chapter 10 is part of. So this is how I can respond to that. DDG Tope, you will come back, anticipation onto the change about the situation on negotiation cycle. Anticipation, I think I'll allow that. DDG's, Dr. Solomon, can you start on left and audit, please?
If we need to operationalize information, there is a parallel meeting, Chair, that's happening.
Ms. Kokoma, please mute your mic.
Dr. Solomon, can you start, please? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll go with it. I will allow
Ms. Kokoma, please kindly mute your mic. All right.
CFO and DDG dealing with the 2 questions. The issue of SMS women, the strategy, and the budget cuts, CFO. Thank you very much.
Thanks, DG. Through you, Honorable Chair. I think the issue, there was a question from Honorable Nzimande that whether the plan is based on the budget constraints. And I think my answer to that would be no. We have planned, we have done our planning, but what we have done is that we have to confine ourselves to the budget baseline. So in this plan that we are actually presenting here, there are no budget constraints or any shortfalls that have been indicated by relevant program managers. So we are aligned, and we believe that the budget that we have at the moment, though we had budget cuts in the previous years, but I think the current year going forward, we have managed to negotiate that we keep our baseline. The budget will always not be enough. What we always do is that during the year, we always have our internal a governance meeting, like your budget committee meetings, which are chaired by the DG and ExCo members attend, where we always evaluate the budget and move money around within the prescripts of the PFMA. But what I can assure the committee members, honorable members, that the plan is not based on the budget cuts. We're not anticipating any shortfall at the moment. If there are any shortfall, then we'll deal with them internally. The also issue of outsourcing. I think why can't the department outsource its work? I think outsourcing basically you can only outsource. Where you don't have skills within the department or any entity or organization. That's where you can call for consultants to come and assist you. But with the work that we are doing currently, we don't see any need to outsource because we have the relevant skills and people that we have appointed, whom we are paying salary. That's why the COE budget it's about 54% of that. We have the skills within the department to can deal with the work that we are presenting here. If there are any small components of the work that we're doing where we need outsourcing, that's where there would be a motivation, and we look at that. But in the generally, our work, we were able to do it within the the staff that we have. So outsourcing is basically not always given. You have to assess, you have to look at whether you need consultants. There are also guidelines from the National Treasury in terms of how do you outsource your work, what is you need to do, your sort of your analysis. You have to actually look at whether the people that we have within the department cannot do the work, they don't have the actual skills, and that is a process that will go through to the CFO and eventually be signed off by the Director General after those motivations, and that's when we can outsource. But generally, our work we do it internally. DJ, I think I've dealt with the questions that you asked me to deal. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
DDG Linda, on the statistics and the strategy of SMS women.
Thanks, DG. We are currently sitting at 46% of women at SMS. So in terms of the national target, it means we are 4% below the government target of 50 and 14% below our own target of 60%. And as I've indicated, the strategy is what is part of the Department of Labor's affirmative action, the Employment Equity Act allows departments or institutions to have what is called affirmative action measures, which means you can put measures in place that help to provide a positive bias towards the appointment of women. And for us, it's it happens at recruitment where we can still appoint a woman even if she came out as number 2 in the interview, but then applying those measures that I spoke about earlier. The concept of freezing posts. So we
sorry, before you move to that, in terms of disability, where are you seated right now as well?
We're at 2.6.
Oh, okay, you can proceed now.
Thank you. So freezing posts, yeah. So as the committee will be aware, and I think as the CFO has alluded to, over the past few years, there has been consistent budget cuts to all departments. And there was a process that was put in place by both DPSA and National Treasury, where departments were required to process the proposed posts that they want to fill through the Minister for Public Service, which is our minister. And that process was born out of the need to ensure that with the limited budgets, we fill what is called critical posts. So every department, there was a criteria that was used. So all the posts that could not be funded, as legislated, need to be removed from PESAL. So that could be equivalent to freezing, because you freeze those posts or the filling of those posts until you have money that is available, and then you can reactivate those posts on PESAL for them to be filled. So we do that because of the budget considerations emanating mainly from the ongoing budget cuts from National Treasury. So we don't freeze unless there is a need to freeze, and the main consideration is the budget limitations. And we have, as a result, for the past 3 years or so, been, and I'll use the word in inverted commas, been freezing posts. But the correct terminology, or the terminology that we use, is that we then remove those posts. Sometimes it's called abolishing. So you can remove those posts from the structure. But abolishing usually happens when you are reviewing a structure and you find that there's posts that you no longer need. So you can abolish those posts. But for the purposes of budget, we remove them from PESAL, the PESAL system, which will also reduce your vacancy rate. And then when the money becomes available, we reactivate them on the system, and then we fill them. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, teacher.
Chair, there's a question that DDG Tlhophe must respond on. the issue of the negotiation cycle and anticipation. DDG Tlhophe?
Thank you, DG, and thank you to the chair and the honorable members of the committee. So what we have done with the negotiations, particularly in the last phase of negotiations, we got our negotiations to be aligned with the two critical issues. One is the planning cycle of government, and the second is the budgeting cycle of government. Now, this we did to make sure that the salary agreements are within the national fiscal envelope as determined by the National Treasury. This is why when we go to negotiations, we work very closely with the National Treasury. This is an agreement that we have had with organized labor represented at the PSCBC to make sure that we don't conclude the negotiations and then we have a problem to say where will the money come from. So this is why we had to align the negotiations processes with these two critical planning cycles so that there's no shocks in the systems once the agreement is reached. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Apology, Chair. There is one question I've made, one or two on IT. DDG Mandla will want to respond. DDG Mandla, you may take those three questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, and thanks very much, DG. And this is myself, but also Amanda Ngobo, so AI. So, but like previous colleagues, I'll switch off the camera. Honorable Chair, three related questions were asked relating to IT. Number one, what platforms are department utilizing? Number two, how many are they utilizing of them? But number three, what are the costs? Honorable Chair and honorable members and colleagues, I want to say that first of all, when it comes to utilization, or maybe even before that, Chair, when you talk about the platform in the technology context, there are a couple of characteristics that I want to highlight, and without the risk of sounding like I'm lecturing here, I'm not, but it relates to what I'm going to be explaining. A platform, Chair, its characteristics, number one, it is large scale enough. It allows for simultaneous utilization and or development. For instance, we are using Zoom here. Other people somewhere in the world could be using exactly the same platform. Consequently, or based on that, when you consider the public service share, there are a couple of platforms. I mean, think of PARR and Persal and Logis. Those are platforms that can be able to utilize at the same time. Systems at SASA and other places where work can be done by people who are geographically dispersed. Now, the challenge, Chair, with the public service, which is why I had to start there, is the fact that numerous departments are using different technology systems. And in the main, they tend to be standalone systems. What do I mean? It means that there is a challenge around integration of systems, sometimes within the department, largely within the department and other departments. This is what a chair led to cabinet approving the roadmap for digital transformation of public services. Because, Chair, the focus was going to be on only 4 technology capabilities. That's number one, which is the digital ID, digital payment, data exchange between and within departments, but also a central portal where everybody would go. Why was the choice of those 4, Chair? A digital public infrastructure approach was utilized, which means that government invests once and then it gets consumed across the public service. For instance, when it comes to ID, Home Affairs is currently working on digital ID, right? To ensure that it's possible to identify people as they interact in the digital space. Now, so there is a challenge with distraction. So very few platforms exist in government. Now, having said that, how many departments are kind of progressing in terms of using what has even been approved by cabinet, except that all of them are using the PARR, Special Logis, and obviously SASA or similar capabilities. Chair and honorable members, we've got now about 3 or 4 use cases. Number one, they sit in various environments. Number one, NFSAS or NSFAS for bursaries, if you're applying. Number two, if you're applying for SASA. Number three, if you are renewing your licenses. Number four, for the matric certificate issuance. So what is this? How does it work? So those departments are involved. So the others continue to be involved on initiatives so that upon the lessons and this being matured, they then can be onboarded. So the verification of life, you are a human being, you exist, it gets done against the National Population Register at Home Affairs. So whether you are applying for SASA, whether you are applying for renew the license, now the important thing, honorable members and chair, is the fact that it's an end-to-end online, I want to call it pilot at this stage with those departments. So we talk about 5-6 departments being involved on the new, what I would term, platforms, be they relate to data exchange, be they relate to central access to the portal. Now, which brings me to the last question. What about the costs? Now, honorable chair and members, precisely because of disparate transactions by various government departments on IT systems, it doesn't allow us to experience the economies of scale and scope that we could if we were to buy centrally and utilize across. Consequently, as part of that program approved by cabinet, one of the things that we're busy looking at is how do we handle issues of licenses, for instance, centrally. Why? Because most of government departments would need would have these common requirements, and instead of each department entering into a contract, having when having government as public service, a single entity, entering into a contract would kind of help us to realize those quicker and much faster. I don't want to go down and explain to honorable members what happens when the names of departments change. And all of a sudden, from the legal perspective, it's a new entity. I think I want to stop at that, Chair, unless there's a follow-up. Thanks very much, DJ. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We may want to take back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DG and the team. Let's then take Honorable Muimang, our Chief Whip, followed by Honorable Mabibo. Lastly, it will be our Whip, Honorable Molokome. Thank you. In that order.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to yourself and the honorable members on the platform and our guests under the stewardship of the DG. Let me also appreciate the presentation on the APP as presented. One of the first question, Chair, relates to Program 2. The indicator that speaks to the evaluation of appointment in the executive offices. Just needed to get more information on that, whether this indicator has made any challenge in the last 12 months, and what are the observation? The second one relates to the new indicator that speaks to the review of the organization from 1994 up to 2024. The question will be what is the problem area that this new indicator, which is quite critical in terms of institutional capacity and state organization. So the question is, what is it that we are trying to address? What are the problem areas that we are trying to address on this indicator? What is the baseline? Has it not been done in the past? And then the last one relates to the actually progress that is made in relation to revitalization around Batopele. I thought probably also the department will be more interested also in terms of the direct impact that this program of Batopele has. What is it that the department will be doing this year to make sure that it takes Batopele interventions to another level, just to ensure that there is an improved citizens' experience in terms of the service that public service is giving? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Mwimang. We are now going to take Honorable Mabibo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me start by appreciating the presentation, and then I'm going to be brief. How does the department put policy in place to create guidelines of reducing consultants in various departments? And then how does the department put measures in place to assist the municipalities in recruiting people with skills and capacities in their respective responsibilities? Where does the department advertise the post? How does the department get rid of ghost workers in various municipalities? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mabibo. Honorable Molokome, our whip of the committee.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity, and let me greet everyone on the platform and also to appreciate the presentation made. Chair, I think I'll just make an emphasis on some of the questions that were asked by honorable members. Chair, in terms of slide 11 on the presentation, as much as you want women empowerment, I think you have touched on this issue of women empowerment. Do you monitor departments to balance gender parity during their recruitment processes? And what mechanism do you have to enforce this objective?
Recording stopped.
At what stage is one requires to have Nugela certificate in the recruitment process? The other question, Chair, that I have is in slide 13. Do you have the number of disabled people in your PERSAL system who can be considered for the SMS positions? Because we have touched on the issue of the women empowerment, but I didn't hear anything about the disabled people. Slide 13 also, Chair, how do you deal with the issue of age, since unemployed are not necessarily the youth? Even we know, Chair, that there's a complaint in terms of the issue of the age. You know, when this department recruits, they speak about 18 to 35 years. So I just want to check, how do you deal with such issues? Because we need to also consider people with more than 35 age when we deal with the issue of the recruitment. In slide 16, Chair, how effective is your monitoring tools in terms of skills audit of the provincial departments? And also on the same slide, slide 16, what does the appropriateness of public administration appointments in the private office of executive authority mean? Because there's this statement, I just want you to elaborate more on this slide 16, Chairperson. On slide 18, I know that you have touched on the issue of the skills audit and of the public servants. So I just want to check, how many departments have you conducted the lifestyle audit as the department? Lastly, Chair, is in slide 19. Do you have systems where the department register their disciplinary hearings to monitor how those hearings are conducted, and how prevalent are those suspensions in the departments? In terms of monetary value, how much money does the state lose as a result of court processes and suspensions? Chair, those are the questions that I wanted to raise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Whip. Mine is just few issues. Firstly, is to welcome the report, which give us at least a sense of what is being done to turn the tide around. But the biggest worry is that if you compare public service and corporate world, the only thing that differentiates us with them is that the levels of productivity are high on the other side, and on the other side are low. But whilst the labor force is increasing, but levels of productivity do not match such recruitments. So now my question then, which is directed to the department, what are you doing to ascertain that, as much as we have not yet fully applied the biometric system where you clock when you clock in and you clock out at work, at least it's clear monitoring, but the manual processes, how do you enforce it in all departments? So that because what informs the shrinking productivity levels in the public service is the level of late coming, is the level of absenteeism, is also the level where people are no longer working when they're at workplace, but they are busy on social networks, because some of them, since the emergence of technology, they seem not to be having full responsibilities in executing their work. So lastly, does the quota, the review of the quota on the recruitment of disabled community, being 7% by 2030 or 7% by 2035? Thank you very much. Over to you, DG and the team.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. We will do the same. We will deal with all your questions, members, which we appreciate. I think starting by a question raised by Honorable Moimang, evaluation appointment terms of the EA offices, if there are any challenges and observations. In the presentation that DD Gillinda made, one of the targets is to take this as a norm and standard, to begin to look at how this norm is applied in the EA offices. Currently, we may not talk about challenges because we still have to diagnose the problem. What we have done as a department was to issue these norms in how the private office, which are your executive authorities office, conduct their recruitment, which is outside the purview of the Public Service Act and processes. So is our target norm, Honorable Member, to look at that, whether there's compliance there. We have taken that as part of our commitment. Going forward, we'll diagnose the problem. If we have to fix the norm, we have to do that. If the problem is how this thing is conducted, we may want to interface through our circulars to the entire public service. Honorable Wang, you asked a very critical question on the review of the institutional capacity from 1994 to 2024. What is the problem area? You've asked what are trying to address? What is the baseline if this thing have not been done in the past? If you go back to the very same APP that DDG presented, she have made and indicate that this is a new target. It's a new target because it came in this administration. We got this target from cabinet when we were presenting what we call the National Micro-Organization of Government. Because every 5 years, when there's a new government after elections, we do what we call the National Micro. After the president, they've reconfigured the cabinet. Now, in that meeting, Honorable Chair, President said, go and do me a research study in terms of how this micro-organization as the state architect can be undertaken going forward. It has not yet been done. So it's one of our commitments that we must, in fact, it goes beyond public service. It's the state architect. It affects local government, it affects the judiciary, it will affect legislature on how the state is crafted for better service delivery. So the mischief that we are raising is every elections we see department get bundled, department get merged, department come back, the new one. You know, there's a lot of things happen every 5 years. So we don't have a clear indication what informs that exercise. So this study, honorable member, will assist government and the state to reconfigure for the better service delivery. On the question 3, revitalization around Watupili, the direct impact, what to be taken to the another level. If you read the PSC report for the past 10 years or so, the PSC have done a lot of research studies on this work. And they always reach a conclusion that this white paper policy is a good policy, but the difficult implementation is not measurable. Because these are only principles. Your courtesy, your consultation, value for money, redress, all those things are principles. Now, as a department, we took that report, we developed a strategy which was approved by cabinet. In that strategy, we brought in the standards on each principle. We issue standard right now. Now, what we're going to do, honorable member, is to begin to monitor the implementation of the standards, working closely with the key department, the GCIS and the NSG. Moving forward, honorable member, to honorable Mabebo, how does the department tend to reduce consultants in the various departments? I don't know if CFO you want to respond to that, but it's a treasury question, but CFO you want to respond to that. Now, the second and the third and the fourth questions are in municipalities. We kept raising the issue to say, as a DPSA currently, we don't have mandates to find expression in the local government by law. Hence, this committee, you have processed a new law which the president has assented to working on the proclamation. That law, as soon as get proclamations, will give us a lever to work closely with SALGA and the DCOC on local government issues. So on local government currently, even the issue of the ghost employees, DCOC's addressing that. Now, your question to say, where does DPSA advertise its posts? Didi Linda may respond, but we have got what we call the vacancy circular every Friday, which get issued by the department as part of the process. But Didi Linda may want to add to that. Honorable Mlokome, do you monitor departments in terms of the mechanism to enforce I'm trying to read the question clearly. I might have missed something in that writing of the question, but I can see it's about enforcement. Yes, DPSA, our role, which is the key driver, is about enforcement. We do have powers in terms of the law, section 16(3)(a) of the Public Service Act. Give us powers to show that department report as required. And that report get processed through different structures, your cabinet and the portfolio committee and other structures as required. At what stage do we have Nukela? Nukela is part of the instrument that we have brought in as trying to professionalize the recruitment public service. Now, an incumbent can apply a position without Nukela. But on the time of appointment, you should have gone through the process. You can apply the position without Nukela, but the good practice is good that you submit all the documentation required at the time of applications. You can be interviewed without a Nukela, but at the time of appointment, you should have one as part of the directive. Number of disabled people on the SMS level, DDG Linda, you'll assist us in that area. And the issue of age versus recruitment, DDG Klope, this is a policy issue you may want to assist. How effective monitoring tool of the skills audit? DDG Anusha, you have given a response. You may want to come back again on that area of work. So, yeah. The chair, you have asked two fundamental questions, which I think will conclude with them. Let me first allow my colleagues to come in, Honorable Chair, before I come back. Now, there's a question raised here by Honorable Mlokome on the issue of the lifestyle audit again, which were responded to say how many departments. Generally, all departments must go through. As I've indicated, there are two which requested an extension. I think it's defense. I forgot the next one. We've granted extension because of the glitches in the system. The issue of register for the disciplinary hearing. Yes, as you've indicated in our APP that we now have a central register that will detect and address issues of delay, and all cases must be registered in that register as part of MNE. Let me pause here and allow my colleagues, honorable member, to quickly go through that. DDG Klope, you may start on the issue of the recruitment and the age and in line with your early retirement, by the way. Thank you very much. DDG Klope.
Thank you, DG, and thanks to the chair. So, and thanks to the members of the committee. So we maybe first thing to indicate that we just finished the phase 1 of the early retirement program, and we're in the process of compiling a report. So maybe in the next few months when we meet again, we will be in a better position to present that report, and also to reflect on what does the report tell us in terms of issues of capacity within the public sector. But in the main, the main drive in terms of the early retirement program was to allow people who are willing to leave early, but at the same time to rejuvenate the public service. In other words, as we have more people who leave, it is important that we balance the inclusion of younger people into the system so that we enable proper succession over the years. So that was the essence, part of the essence of the early retirement program. And of course, it also had to do with issues that the National Treasury had identified in terms of the national fiscus. But does the balancing act that the departments within provinces the national departments have been asked to do, to develop strategies to use the program to rejuvenate their particular areas of operation. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Chair, shall we move to next? My colleagues will respond on the issue of, I'm trying to go through the outstanding questions. DDG Anusha, the issue of how effective is the monitoring tool on the skills audit?
Yeah, DG, I think there is a few. The first one on the skills audit methodology framework. Let me start by saying thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, for your questions. On the question of the skills audit, I have given an outline of progress to say that the skills audit methodology framework is progressing exceptionally well. We have those task teams built in so that, we can create our own competencies within the public service. And we're now on the stage of finalizing most of those audits with Western Cape and KZN towards the end of that. But at the same time, we're working closely with Cooperative to find ways in which we could automate or digitalize the entire system. On the question of appointments of, personnel in the executive office and whether we are having any challenges there, Honorable Chair, it is important that executive authorities seek, to ask the questions and request advice from the Minister for the Public Service and Administration. As the DPSA, we did receive requests on either qualifications or experience of personnel. And our advice has always been, Honorable Chair, and it will continue to be, protect the law. That is all we have to do as public servants. Protect the law. And in that regard, the MPSA has not approved any deviation from the law for any personnel in the offices of any executive authority. And I say that, Honorable Chair, with conviction. When it comes to approaching the medium-term development plan, the current APP that was presented to you this morning, I want to affirm the primacy of state capacity and state capability as the foundation for professionalization, improved productivity, ethical and integrity when it comes to conduct, compliance, and clean governance. That is the key focus, the key shift from the last 30 years to where we find ourselves now, not just as the public service, but as the state and public administration. One of the key issues with the employment matters that you asked us about, and I think, DG, I will also respond because DG Linda would do internal to the department, and mine is based on the public service. And it's important, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, that we give you full disclosure. The difference post 30 years is that South Africa and South Africans, and I want to paraphrase yourselves, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, we believe that the South African government has sufficient laws and policy. And what we ought to do is accelerate the implementation. And that is the key shift. That is the pivotal angle of where we are going as the DPSA. You will see over last financial year, it wasn't just about monitoring and assessing, but to say that those who are found guilty of serious and gross negligence, not just misconduct, but negligence as well, including fraud,
corruption, and other serious offenses, we will take them to jail. There will be consequence management. And that, honorable partners and honorable members, I can give you confidence insofar as the ghost employees is concerned. It simply means that those who have office, all public administrators, including myself, we must account. We must answer for our actions and our inactions, and we must answer for our decisions and our indecisions. And that is all we are required to protect the law. When it comes to the ghost employees or the ghost workers, this was announced in the 2024 budget by the Minister of Finance. But the Department of Public Service and Administration has been leading in this work under the Honorable Minister for the Public Service and Administration and our Honorable Deputy Minister. We have, over the last few months, in the 25-26 financial year, done what we call a verification or a physical audit verification of all public servants across national and provincial government. Regrettably, we do not have mandate due to the sectorial laws in place to go and play in the space of local government. But we are sharing, and we have shared, a lot of the information and good practice with the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. What is important, we have now gathered the data and the information. We are progressing well with our analysis. We then, as the DPSA, will hand over this data through to the National Treasury, together with the Department of Home Affairs. We've got a synergetic group going on there, and the seminal work will continue. But the salient point is that the National Treasury and the Department of Home Affairs will then use automated systems to verify the ghost workers. But I want to give you assurance, Honorable Chair, if we find a ghost worker, that salary will be suspended with immediate effect, and those who are responsible will be called to account, including walking them to Sunnyside Police Station. Pardon me, Honorable Chair, that's the closest police station to. Insofar as the question goes on gender parity, but not just gender, racial parity, age parity for youth and disability, I want to give confidence to the Chief Whip to say that the Minister for the Public Service and Administration under the department, we've already issued what we call Circular 19. And what this very circular does or seeks to do is to convert policy, to convert transformation, inclusion, and representation into measurable executive accountability. Chair, I have explained accountability earlier in its simplest forms. Now, departments must achieve 3% of the disability employment target, and they must show annual progress towards the 7%. And Honorable Chair, that is by the year 2030. And I think you wanted clarity there. We must integrate disability, women in senior management, and youth priorities into the actual HR plans of departments, into the annual performance plans like the way DG Linda has shown for the DPSA, and strategies and senior management service performance agreements. But Honorable Chair, in making sure that we have parities and not disparities, we must also make sure and make certain that when it comes to persons with disability, that we create reasonable accommodation for them. And that is what the DPSA has done. We've issued many, many guidelines and directives on reasonable accommodation for persons with disability. We must not appoint women in the senior management system for quantitative analysis, but we must appoint them and take them to the boardroom, and we must give them a voice at the boardroom table. And we must make sure that our youth are employable. But there is a distinction that I must share with you, Honorable Chairperson, that the Department of Employment and Labor still remains responsible for labor and employment across our country. And their target is 3%, implying that every single department must meet a 3% target with disability. Now, as the DPSA, hence we monitor, hence we analyze, and hence we assess, so that those departments now that do not achieve the 3% target will be held to account through consequence management. And as they achieve the 3%, by 2030, they must progress to the 7%. And that is what all of our circulars are implying and saying, as well as our monitoring exercise. We are saying, Honorable Chair, that we will take the results to oversight bodies, that we will take the results to the Auditor General of South Africa, and that we will expose any form of gross negligence or malpractice in the public service. As DG indicated, we advertise our positions in the public service vacancy circular. But in addition to that, we also have email facilities and we have hand-dropped applications. So applicants got the choice to either email it or to hand-drop it. We've also tried to cut out a lot of the red tape and administrative burden, where we say, Honorable Chair, you only need to submit a Z83 and a C. And then shortlisted candidates, of course, will submit certified copies of certificates, etc. That process has a lot of integrity and ethic controls that's built into it. We also got what we've called the public service vacancy WhatsApp channel, where we have approximately 176,000 ordinary citizens that receive our PSVC or public service vacancy circular in the inbox every Friday through our WhatsApp channel. Honorable Chair, again, I thank you and the honorable members for the questions. I think I've covered most of it, so I would leave it there for now. And let's not forget the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability also play a big issue in making sure parity, disparities, etc. are not overtaken insofar as the quantitative parts of youth employment, women in SMS, as well as those persons with disabilities. I must thank you, Chair. Thank you, DG.
Thank you, Dr. Anusha. Honorable Chair, quick one. There's a question that we skipped. It was asked by Honorable Mlokome on the issue of the suspension and then how much and then how many. We can quickly give you the figures there. As of the end of March, Honorable Chair, we had 516 officials suspended across the public service. The cost thereof was 204 million, national and provincial departments. So this function is delegated to departments. As I've indicated, our role, we intervene when necessary. So we can report to that. Thank you very much. On the two questions raised by Honorable Chair, let me allow my colleagues to reflect on them because these are very fundamental questions. The first one was to give the paraphrase of the two, the private sector versus the global market, the private sector. What is the enforcement mechanism to do the issue productivity? Dr. Sokela, you may want to come through, and then DDG Klope, and the review of quota. I think DDG Anusha responded to the second one. So on the very first one, Honorable Chair, I may want to bring DDG Sokela. You may talk about the issue of productivity, functionality, assessment as part of the instrument used to deal the issue of effective governance, and then DDG Klope as a condition of service. Thank you very much, colleagues. And the DDG Mandla, you may come through because the issue of the IT system in terms of the compliance for that detect late coming if there is a way to do that. So let me indulge my colleagues to address that question. Klope, DDG Sokela, and DDG Mandla, you may want to come through. Okay, Anusha, you can proceed.
DG, I think I've covered my questions. It's probably DDG Dr. Sokela and DDG Mandla. Or is there a specific one, DG? I can take that.
And DDG Klope, yes, DDG Klope. Colleagues, this is a difficult question, I know, but let's reflect on it. It's something that we can go and look at it, but there are mechanisms that sit between the two branches. Sokela is hosting the, I'm not sure if Sokela is here hosting the productivity or whether it's with the minister. And therefore, DDG Klope, you may want to come through.
It's fine, DG. Maybe you can respond on it in writing because of time constraint.
Thank you very much. Chair.
If you can also add one question there. The government has taken a resolution that we must scrap requirement of experience in all entry level posts in government. So we'll also want to get a report. How far are we faring with that decision? Are all departments compliant to ensure that we don't really deny graduates who just come out of universities the opportunity to enter into government work, into government jobs? So let's also add that. We'll request that we bring that in writing. But lastly, we request that Free State must be given at least 7 days to finish us with that report, since we asked for it since last year. Within 7 days, together with you, and the report must be submitted to us through our secretariat, whilst the meeting will be convened to discuss that report of the committee. We'd like to thank you, DG, and the entire team for the work.
Chairperson, on the chat, there are two questions. We'll also appreciate if they could also be provided in writing. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see.
One Chair, through you on your WhatsApp.
Yes.
Can I send mine, the last one, on your WhatsApp to send to them?
Let's just put it here on the chat.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
On the chat, so that it can be easily captured even by the department as they leave. Thank you very much. DG, we wish to thank you and the entire team for the work that you are doing to service our members of the Republic, our residents, and the citizens of the Republic of South Africa. And we are looking forward on the new amended legislations, which also empowers you to get into the space of municipalities together with the Public Service Commission. We wish you everything of the best. Let's get those as responses as well within 7 days, those written responses. The session is now come to an end. We'll proceed with our internal matters. You can take leave, DG and the team, whilst we proceed the internal matters of the committee. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you very much, Chair, and all honorable members. Well appreciated. We shall do respond in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable members, we are now going to take the two reports. Mr. Manele, you can start with the first report of water in summary, observations and recommendations. Then immediate after that, we'll move to Cooperative, and MISA will do the same. Over to you, Mr. Manele.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, there seems to be a system problem in terms of sharing of documents here. I'm aware that the system has kicked out Zuki, and from my side, I'm using a phone, but I'm able to read the documents. But I don't want to waste the times of members. I just want you to make a pronouncement on this matter. I can see in the platform that Zuki is not there.
If you forward it to Tsepo, Tsepo can assist you.
Yes, so thank you, Chairperson.
Whilst you proceed, so that we save time.
Chairperson. Zuki. Yeah, send out your reports. Put Chairperson is agreeing that Tshepo will share the reports. Share the reports, Lord. Tshepo will be able to share the reports. It's to me like work with email.
In the meantime, you can start presenting, Mr. Manele. Members have received the report. In their gadgets, they do have the report. Honorable members, our apology for the delay. We don't want to waste your time. We're going to start with the report that is with water and sanitation, honorable members. Without going into the background legislative framework, the directive given by the chair, I'll focus on observation and go straight to the recommendation. The observation, honorable members, number one is just the first one deals with the compliance and the matter of alignment. Say the APP of the department is being aligned with the National Development Plan, SDGC, the Medium-Term Development Plan, and the State of the Nation Address. 8.2 is just an acknowledgement to say, in terms of budget estimate and allocation to departmental program, the department has organized its budget under those three programs. The one that deals with administration, and program 2 on water resources and management, and the last one on water services management. This one is just to indicate one, in line with what the Deputy Minister was saying, that the committee has noted that all 8 metropolitan municipalities are participating in National Treasury reform of Metropolitan Training Services Program, which include requiring metropolitan municipality to ring-fence revenue from the sale of water for water function. But of importance, honorable members, if we go down without wasting time, is to say the committee has noted that the department's budget consists of 2 components. Is the one that deals with where they get resources from the National Treasury, and is the one that is allocated to water trading entities. Without going into details and reading the figures allocated, which were captured in departmental programs, with your permission, Chair, I would like to go to the last one with regard to the prioritization. That the Select Committee has noted and welcomed the executive commitment made by the Department of Water and Sanitation to work with the Department of Cooperative and National Treasury to ensure that all national water-related infrastructure grants to municipalities are reprioritized to focus on projects and interventions which bring water to the people's taps. The other one which is important is that this joint departmental working together will include completion of long delayed incomplete projects which reduce non-revenue water, which improve the reliability and quality of water supply, which provide access to unserved communities, and which diversify water mix, including groundwater, reuse, and desalination. In terms of the interventions and support to dysfunctional and poor municipalities, the Select Committee has noted that the department will be invoking and applying existing legal framework for national government interventions, such as Section 139 of the Constitution and Section 63 of the Water Service Act. And where existing water services providers are failing, the committee has noted the commitment that municipalities will be supported to consider alternative service delivery mechanism, and the department will be putting in place partnership with private sector, civil society to increase access to unserved communities, including funded bulk infrastructure projects, boreholes,
protected springs, and rainwater harvesting. Without going deeper on our members in the interest of time, allow me to go straight to recommendations so that we are able to understand what is the recommendation are all about. It is an acknowledgement that after considering and deliberating on the 2026/27 APP of the department, the Select Committee recommends to the NCOP as follows: that the Department of Water and Sanitation should fast-track the process of submitting the National Water Amendment Bill to Cabinet for timers approval to Parliament during the 2026/2027 financial year. The second one, that the department should, during the 2026 parliamentary third term, provide consolidated report on the status of water and sanitation projects in their provinces, including support provided to the municipalities in the entire country. Number three, that the department should, during the 2026 parliamentary third term, provide audited 2025 Green Drop report, which include full wastewater value chain, including sewer networks, pump stations, and treatment systems. Four, that during the 2026 parliamentary third term, the department to provide consolidated report on 2025 Blue Drop risk rating assessment with focus on critical risk areas within water services provision, municipalities identification and prioritization of critical risk area within their drinking water quality management processes and corrective measures. Five, that the department should, during the 2026 parliamentary third term, provide consolidated report on 2025 no drop risk rating assessment, detailing key risk areas on the status of water services authorities, water conservation, water demand management. Six, that the department should, during 2026 parliamentary third term, provide progress report on Section 63 intervention invoked in terms of Water Service Act in local and district municipalities. Just an emphasis that members will recall, and in Fuleni, the committee managed to engage the department and in Fuleni in respect of the invocation of Section 63. And the committee is aware that generally there are other municipalities where this Section 63 is being invoked. Therefore, that the minister should be engaged during the parliamentary third term to provide status report on the implementation of Section 63. Number seven, that the department should, during the 2026 parliamentary third term, provide consolidated report on budget allocated transfers and breakdowns of expenditure on the implementation of Section 63 of the Water Service Act in full and local municipality. This recommendation, honorable members, is contained on our oversight visit to Mfuleni, and there was that recommendation that the department should be involved with regard to the financial breakdown and expenditure with regard to the implementation of Section 63 in full and local municipality. This one is just an emphasis of what the committee had in the past, that the department should, during the 2026 parliamentary third term, provide consolidated report on flood disaster support provided to affected and district municipalities in KZN, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, Northwest provinces, including mechanism to mitigate corruption and misappropriation of allocated funds. Chair, honorable members who are aware that in terms of Department of Culture, last week we engaged the Department of Culture in respect of this. Critical department in our case is the Department of Water and Sanitation and the Department of Human Settlement. However, I'm aware that there's a commitment from the committee during the parliamentary third term to engage those two departments in respect of post-flood support to district and local municipalities. Number 10, that the department should provide progress report on War on Leaks program, including findings and recommendation of forensic investigation. Number 11, the department should provide quarterly progress reports on achievement of performance indicators and target as contained in their APP, including budget allocation in respect of their departmental programs. Just on a review, Chair, with your permission, we are aware that in terms of our performance last year, we could not focus clearly on quarterly reports of the department, including annual report. And this report is just an emphasis in line with our APP of 2026-2027, that this year will strictly be ensuring that there's an engagement with the department on their quarterly report, including their annual report. The last one, Chair, of importance is on oversight. To say the committee is going to align its quarterly programs in line with the APP of the department to ensure that there's a level of executive accountability and oversight of what they have committed in 2026/2027. The last one, honorable members, it is in respect of oversight visit that the committee should, during the 2026 parliamentary third term, conduct proactive oversight visits in collaboration with the portfolio committee, meaning in Free State and other provincial legislatures, to monitor and assess the status of bulk water sanitation project, eradication of bucket system in their provinces. Chair, with your permission, this is the end of our recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Manele. There's a water report that we will be presenting for the records for the NCOP honorable members. Can we get your comments and approval?
Chair.
Yes.
This is a clear reflection of the previous gatherings of us. So I propose to support it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Peter. Honorable Molokome.
Thank you, Chair. I support the
Thank you, honorable members. The report is now duly adopted. Let's move to the second report on COPTA and MISA.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, this is a consolidated report that includes APPs and budget allocation of Department of Cooperative Governance, the Department of Traditional Affairs.
Sorry, before you proceed, Mr. Manel, when we have our committee meetings, are we not supposed to be having IT colleagues to be with us so that if any challenge happens, they are able to intervene?
Correct, Chair. Chair, with your permission, the Secretariat, what experience that they encountered today, I didn't want to discuss them on a platform. I wanted us to present before the management so that without inconveniencing members. To be frank with you, I also feel uncomfortable to make this kind of presentation to members. I don't want to disrespect members, but noting that members have moved for the adoption of the first report with your powers, Chair, I would like that we make a pronouncement that as Secretariat, without individualizing, we meet and we put our house in order, and a new date before the end of this week is with your permission, is scheduled to finalize our standing work, Chair.
I think COCTA is still coming, so can we deal with COCTA next week?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
Chairperson, to be frank with you, in terms of observation, and that will suit us well, but we must make sure that the Secretariat, we don't coordinate in a manner that members are inconvenienced in terms of their time and so forth.
Yeah, it is unacceptable that when we have these formal meetings, we get disrupted by small technical challenges. So we need to fix that. And IT must always be with you, or if they are not with you, whenever you experience challenges, you must ask for their intervention. Otherwise, this is inconveniencing us as members of the committee. where things are not appearing on the screen. So that implies that we must defer both the report of COCTA and to next week of COCTA as well as the minutes,
including the our resolution tracking system.
Yes. Yeah, now let's work on these issues. Honourable members, our apologies for this inconvenience, but thank you very much for your attendance to this meeting. And we must give you, yes.
Now, just to add and put emphasis, I think you must sit with our support staff. The support that you are getting definitely is really problematic. I think now you must sit with them. Really, people must pull up their socks. It's not only this incident. I've been observing there are a lot of gaps and challenges. Please, we don't want to make this an issue, but just deal with it with them honestly. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Nzimande. Honourable members, thank you for your contribution. The meeting has come to an end. We adjourn till next week. Thank you very much. All the best for your debates in the next week session. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.